Ravenpaw's time in the books was very short. He left ThunderClan after Book 1 and lived at the barn, becoming the cat that Firestar would just visit from time to time, and the cat that the clans would move on from entirely when they moved on to the Lake territory. He eventually had a graphic novel and a novella, which is more than most side characters can say, but ultimately his story only spans a few select books. Yet he has rocketed to intense popularity in the Warrior Cats fandom, and when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. First, he is a Book 1 cat. Everyone who has read the first book, which is the vast majority of Warrior Cats fans, knows who he is. Second, he is relatable. The main protagonist, Firestar, is rather brave, so seeing this more anxious cat can feel more relatable to us anxious humans. Third, he is a sweet guy. A huge part of the first book's plot revolved around saving him from Tiger Claw, so as the reader, he becomes our child in a way. We all wish the best for him. And fourth, well, he is gay. The Warrior Cats books are completely deprived of LGBTQ representation because, well, society sucks. There are 0 explicit gay pairings in the books, and only a small number of implicit gay pairings. And out of those implicit pairings, I believe Ravenpaw and Barley are the most blatantly in love, especially in Ravenpaw's novella, which I'll get to later. So in this video, I want to go through all Ravenpaw's major appearances and comment on what I liked, and where I wish they did a little more. Starting with Into the Wild, an overall magnificent introduction to the Warrior Cats universe that Ravenpaw plays a huge part in. He helps reveal and characterize the main villain of the first arc, Tiger Claw. Tiger Claw's overall treatment of Ravenpaw, even sending him to hunt in ShadowClan for no reason, shows how bad Tiger Claw really is. So by the time Ravenpaw reveals that he saw Tiger Claw kill Redtail, the reveal makes total sense. And the reader's investment in wanting Ravenpaw to be safe from Tiger Claw is just huge. And the payoff is there when he escapes through the barn to live with Barley. Throughout the rest of the first arc, Ravenpaw becomes the friendly ally character. One big highlight will be in the Darkest Hour, where we see him help in the mission to rescue Greystripe's kids from Tiger Clan, and he later joins the fight against Blood Clan, showing us how strong his bond is with his friends Firestar and Greystripe. He overcame his fears to help them in their, well, darkest hour. Moving on, there are moments here and there in the other books where Ravenpaw shows up, but the two adventures in his POV are where the bulk of his story takes place. We'll start with the Ravenpaw's Path graphic novel, as that takes place first. The graphic novel is the first time we get to see the relationship of Ravenpaw and Barley properly develop. Despite all that happened, Ravenpaw has fond memories of his time in ThunderClan, but whenever the question of whether he would return is brought up, it is always an overwhelming no. Not because he loves the barn or loves having an easier life, but because he loves his partner Barley. He could never abandon him. They go on walks, not for hunting or patrols, but just because they love spending time together. But as with any relationship, they are not without their arguments. Barley gets suspicious over a group of cats they show hospitality to, and Ravenpaw disagrees because his kindness overpowers any possible suspicion. And later on, when they lose their home to said cats, Ravenpaw urges Barley to be open about his past with Blood Clan and ThunderClan cats, so they can use the power of their allies to get their home back. Ravenpaw's background involves being in a clan where the code asks cats to support each other, while Barley's background was being a stray cat who had to watch his own sister being nearly killed. Ravenpaw thrives in company and in showing hospitality. Barley thrives in only sticking to a small number of cats he deeply trusts, such as Ravenpaw or his sister Violet. Both points of view sort of protect each other in their relationship. Barley uses his suspicion to try and protect Ravenpaw from the rogues taking advantage of him, and Ravenpaw uses his social skills to seek out ThunderClan to protect Barley and get their home back. I only thought of this because of their fur colors, but they're sort of like a yin and yang for each other. Their views on the world are contrary to each other, but that helps, not hurts, because they complement each other. Each of them is strong in what the other cat lacks. Barley helps Ravenpaw see the purpose in being defensive, and Ravenpaw helps Barley see the purpose in being open. The only big criticism I have for Ravenpaw's path is the ending. After defeating the Blood Clan cats and taking their home back, Barley is weirdly cold to Ravenpaw for a moment while he tries to form bonds with his two brothers who are awful, awful cats. But then he says, psych, he was on Ravenpaw's side all along, and he sends those two cats packing. I felt this was a little awkward and dragged out for too long. I think Barley should have said psych immediately instead of leaving Ravenpaw in the dark for an entire day. That was just weird. But that's all. The last time I read this story was 2012, so reading it again, I definitely had far more appreciation for it. I have more appreciation for Ravenpaw, more appreciation for Barley, more appreciation for the cuteness of their relationship. It was a great book overall. Now let's move on to Ravenpaw's other story, his novella, Ravenpaw's Farewell. And the writing here is a mixed bag. It has a few really well written moments, and it does wonders for the Ravenpaw-Barley ship, but overall the plot has a few glaring flaws. Let's talk about the two main problems I had first. One, they really dumbed Barley down at one point in the book. He has this whole argument with Ravenpaw because Ravenpaw wants to take Riley and Bella to SkyClan, and Barley says that he thinks Ravenpaw is trying to join SkyClan and abandon him. Nothing about their relationship prior to this would ever suggest that Ravenpaw would want to leave Barley. Every thought Ravenpaw has about his clan life is immediately countered by him making clear that he doesn't regret leaving ThunderClan. So maybe we can argue that Barley is only concerned about Ravenpaw's health in the journey, and only made that weird joining SkyClan argument to avoid bringing such a dark subject to words. But no, that's absolutely not the case. When Barley and Ravenpaw meet up again, he confesses he thought Ravenpaw didn't want to be with him anymore. Barley does show concern for Ravenpaw's health throughout the book, but it was completely disconnected from this plot point. So it's rather weird the plot point was even included at all because it dumbs down what should be a serious lifelong partnership. 2. The resolution of SkyClan's conflict with the kitty pets was super weak. Ravenpaw just tells them to move the border and attack the kitty pets more, and he is suddenly praised for saving SkyClan, which doesn't make sense at all. First, it's Cloudstar and Skywatcher who pushed Ravenpaw to have this idea. They're SkyClan ancestors, why didn't they just talk to their medicine cat Echo Song? She could have passed the message without having to make an entire journey. And second, the big idea is kinda lame. The whole purpose of having clan territory is fighting cats across the border. Leafstar, or literally any cat with a brain, would eventually come to the conclusion that they would have to up their defenses. Ravenpaw didn't need to do anything. It's so blatantly obvious that SkyClan was only in this book to prep the plot for Hawkwing's journey. They totally shoehorn in references to Hawkpaw and how, oh no, Pebblepaw and Hawkpaw don't like each other. What could possibly happen with that quirky relationship? And oh, the clans moved on from the old territory, so don't go looking for them there. So yeah, janky novella. But don't worry, it's not all bad. It did one thing amazingly, and that is Barley and Ravenpaw shipping. Bella seeing the two as a couple and asking if they have kits. Amazing. Ravenpaw and Barley cuddling when Ravenpaw is hurt. Amazing. And most importantly, the conversation Ravenpaw has with StarClan in Chapter 9. He keeps his name as Ravenpaw for the sake of the life he led outside the clans with Barley, and he refuses entering StarClan because as a ghost he wants to watch over Barley and wait for him. The novella is not subtle at all about what the moral of the story is. It is fed to us word for word. Every cat deserves to choose their own path. So Ravenpaw reinforcing that he chose a life outside the clans by rejecting StarClan's offers was a really smart choice. Definitely the best scene in the book. But overall, I could definitely say that Ravenpaw's Path is a far better story than Ravenpaw's Farewell. The character dynamic between Ravenpaw and Barley was far more developed there. In Ravenpaw's Farewell, Barley just seems really stupid for no reason. As for Ravenpaw in general, reading both these books helped me appreciate his character and his relationship with Barley far more. I never outright hated him, but I always sort of saw him as mediocre and shallow. But after writing this whole dang video, I can say that my opinion has certainly changed. I actually do genuinely like his character now. And while we unfortunately never had a scene with Ravenpaw calling Barley the love of his life or anything like that, there is definitely enough genuine affection between the two cats for the ship to sail. So at the very least, we can appreciate that. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye everyone!